Hey everyone, my name is Harkney. I'm a techno and house music DJ and producer, and today I want to show you a system for note-taking and organising your student life. Let's get into it. So for some context, I'm currently studying a master's degree in electronic music composition at the University of West London, and I've spent the last few years trying to optimise my productivity by creating and refining various different systems depending on my life circumstances, like my job, whether I'm a student or not, or if there's a pandemic. I'd like to preface this video by saying that most productivity systems are very personal and they don't work for everyone. What I present to you may not suit you perfectly, but you'll be able to take one or two things to implement in your own system, or it may inspire you to tweak something that you already use. And that's absolutely fine because everyone works differently. In fact, this system is an amalgamation of lots of different systems that I've come across doing whenever researching this subject. So anyway, let's get into it. Firstly, let's start with the lectures. You're going to need some sort of note-taking device, whether that's digital or analog. I personally use an iPad with a keyboard. A laptop is absolutely fine, but I'd avoid using your phone because it may come across as a little bit rude in the lectures, as the lecturer may see you just constantly on your phone for the whole lesson. And also, you're more susceptible to getting distracted by social media whilst on your phone as well. Also, you're going to need some sort of note-taking app that syncs across all your devices. Now, I use Apple Notes because I use Apple products, but you can use anything like Evernote, Notion, Microsoft OneNote, or Google Keep. Pick your poison, really. The reason for using something that syncs up across devices is to make sure that all your notes are exactly where you are when you need them at all times. Now for me, I make notes on my iPad, I come home and they're automatically on my laptop without me having to do anything. If you're writing notes by hand, then I guess this doesn't really apply as you've just got your notebook and it's just your notebook that you can take anywhere. Now, as you can see in front of you, this is one of my lectures that I had last term on the 18th of the 10th, the second week to be precise. And as you can see, I have split them into three different sections: notes, going forward, and next actions. Now the first section, the notes section, is for whatever the teacher is talking about or whatever is on the presentation. Write down here anything that you think would be useful to come back to and look at another point, anything that you think will be useful for the assignment. Now the going forward section is any ideas that you have to do with the lecture that can go towards your assignment. So where this differs from the note-taking section is the note-taking section is just anything from your teacher or the presentation, whereas the going forward is any sort of thoughts or ideas that you have that you can then take forward into your assignment. And lastly, the next actions section is any particular tasks that need to be completed. So now that you've collected your notes, you've got some notes from the teacher, some things that they've said that you found that you think might be useful. You've had a few thoughts about how you could go about tackling the assignment, and you've got some next actions that you need to be getting on with before maybe the following week or before the end of term. So once you've got all of them collected, this is where the program Trello comes in. If you're not aware, Trello is a Kanban-style list-making, project-managing app with lots of different features for both individual users and entire companies. Now, the good news is there's a free tier that is fully functional, and I highly recommend you sign up to it. Now, on Trello, once you've signed up, what you're going to want to do is set up two boards. One board to hold all of your assignments and your next actions, like the one you're looking at here, and the other is a weekly schedule. Your first board is going to look something like this and is going to act as your main hub for your entire course. So this example board, which is my university board from the end of last term, as you can see, we've got assignments to do, anything that's in progress and anything that's completed or in fact submitted. And what we've also got is any next actions specifically from the lectures. So anything that needs to be done that isn't a assignment basically. And what you can do with all of these cards is if you come in here, let's go with experimental comp. What you can do is you can add a description, you can add a checklist, you can add a due date. Basically lots of different ways of collating and presenting information that are really valuable to you, especially when you've got lots of different things going on like a university course. Now, after your lecture, you're going to want to review your notes and take action on your notes. The first section of your notes, which was the notes section, can be put into the description of each of the cards as reminders and prompts about any of the different topics being talked about by the lectures in the lesson. So for example, in the experimental comp, in the description here, I've got some notes that I made during the lesson from the teacher. This is what was being discussed about this specific task that I had to do. So for this task, I had to draw on influences from the past century, include a 1-minute narration, etc., etc. And this was all things that I took from the notes section of my notes. Then next up, you had the going forward section, which is ideal for anything that needs to be done specifically to the task. So as you can see in the checklist here, I had some thoughts during the lesson about things that I needed to do to help complete this task, and I put them in the checklist. list. So map out the arrangement with some notes, analyze some music, write a couple hundred words for the listening diary. These kind of thoughts that I had during the lesson that weren't something that the teacher was talking about, but thoughts that I was having myself that I needed to do in order to aid the completion of this task. And then finally, you had the next action section, which I would recommend you put over in the next action section. Essentially anything that would have a very specific deadline. Like for example, I had a tutorial on the 6th of December at 10 o'clock. I got told about this probably the week or two before, a couple of weeks before. So I made a note in my next action section, reviewed my notes, saw that I had a tutorial session booked for the 6th. So set a due date, wrote a quick description about what needed to be done for this tutorial or in preparation for this tutorial. And that was it. And it went in my next action section. And whenever it was done, I can just simply move it over and it's done and I no longer need to worry about it. As I said, this university board will act as sort of your main hub for everything going on within your course. So as you can see, I've got all of my different assignment tasks that I need to do. So I've got a game soundtrack to do, I've completed a written assignment, I've completed a project proposal and 3 mini patches, I haven't started my audio-visual commentary. You can see all of this very quickly at a glance, and what also helps with this is the labels. So if you come here, I've got 5, I can create as many as I need to, but at the moment I've got 5 different labels with my 5 different modules that I'm going to be studying for this year, and color coding them means you can just quickly see what you need to be getting on with. Now, I've actually ticked all of these to mark as completed, but if you untick some of them, you then get red, which obviously gives you a better understanding of what's going on and what needs to be done soon. But this sort of color coding is a great way to visualize at a glance what is going on with your degree, and it takes a little bit of pressure away from trying to remember all of this, trying to remember I've got this thing to do by this date, this thing to do by this date. You don't really need to worry about trying to remember it because everything is presented nicely in front of you. And just one last thing, if you're someone that takes pictures in the lessons, if you take a picture of the presentation that has something that you particularly want to keep, what you can do is add attachments to each of the cards. So if you take a picture of a slide that your lecturer is presenting, what you can do is just attach it to the card and then it'll be ready in there for whenever you need to review it again. Now finally, for the second board, what you're going to want to do is create a weekly schedule. Now this is what my current week looks like. These aren't anything to do with my course at the moment as I'm in between terms, but the concept here is still the same. Now what you'll need to do is go over your university board, go through all of the different checklists of all of your different assignments and all of your next actions to see what needs to be prioritized for the upcoming week. Now I would do this every Sunday and get in the habit of doing this in order to completely fill out my week. Just a quick side note, I should probably tell you actually how to create these lists. What you've got to do is just add another list, and you can basically put whatever you need in here, and then boom, you've got another list. Now let's give you an example of what I mean. So if we come over to the university board, we look at our next actions. As we can see, we've got a student-led session, which is due, okay, let's call it the following Tuesday. What we can do is hit move. We can come over to which board that we want to put it to. So in this case, it will be schedule. What day do we want to put it on? Let's say we want to do it next Tuesday. And I've already got 4 things booked in for Tuesday. But let's say we want to do it first thing on Tuesday. We can just put it at number 1 and we can hit move. Now, annoyingly, what this is going to do is move it from this list to the other list on the board. It's not actually going to copy over. So what we can do is use the copy button instead. Just copy, schedule, and then we can move it over to Tuesday, position 1. Now these positions, I just use them chronologically, just because that makes sense to me. So anything that I put in this list, I'm going to be doing in the order in which they are. You don't have to do it. If you want to put things from the bottom up, do things from the bottom up. Do them how you want. Also, what I would recommend doing whenever trying to populate your schedule for the week is go through all of your different assignments, both the in progress and assignments to do. Go through them. Let's come to experimental composition and look at my checklist. Okay, I've got a few things here that I would like to do next week. Now, what I can do, I can take one of these items and convert it to a card, but like what it does with the moving the cards, it just simply takes it, removes it from the checklist and converts it into a card. It doesn't copy it. Doesn't copy convert into a card, which is a little bit annoying. So what I do is I come up and create a new tab and just type in Trello, and I just flick between the two. So we can come over to schedule, So I just look what I've got to do here. Okay, what I want to do is analyze music projects and make notes of the different elements. Let's say we want to do that on Thursday. Analyze and something else. I can't remember what it was. But there we go. So then that's booked in for Thursday. And what I can also do, come here, labels. This was electronic music composition. I can make some notes. Blah, blah, blah. Save. And there we go. We can come to Thursday and we can see, right, we've got these 4 things to do. Yada, 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 yada. We can come to this one. What do we need to do for this? And boom, there's a description. The benefit of using Trello for a schedule is the flexibility. You can move things around as needed, make notes about each of the tasks. As you can see, I was working on an electro track this week. Check to see if what I added the previous time was fine. Apparently it wasn't. Add another layer of automation. See what's on Apple Music for some inspiration. Whereas if you were to do this, say on Apple Notes, all of this text would you be able to see mixed in with all of the other text that's there. So could you imagine if like this paragraph here, this paragraph here, this paragraph here, this paragraph here, everything was on show, it would become just a bit of a mess. But as you can see here, everything is behind cards, and along with the color coding as well, at a very quick glance you can just see everything that you need to do for the week. This is why I really love using Trello to map out my weeks and create schedules, because it's just so flexible. I can move this to here, move this to here, move this to here. And what I also do is I've got to one side as well. So on a Sunday evening, if I can see, I haven't created thumbnails for the videos, what I can do is just put this to one side, is I clear everything here, and then I can see, right, I've populated it with this, and this, and I realize, I've still got this to one side. When do I want to do this? Maybe let's do that late on Friday. And boom, it's in, and I don't even have to think about it. It's just there, really easy to see. So to recap, make notes in every lecture, split the page into 3, your note-taking section from your teachers going forward, so any thoughts that you have, and any next actions are things that need to be done. Review your notes and put them into the relevant areas in your university board, and then on Sunday evening of every week, fill out your schedule for the week with what needs to be done and rinse and repeat. It doesn't take a lot of effort to keep this up, and it helps to solidify the notes in your memory as you're having to make decisions about the notes that you're taking, rather than them just being random notes that you've taken down and just forgotten about. As I said, you may have a system that works for you, and you might just take 1 or 2 concepts from this video to tweak your current system. And that's fine, because everybody works differently. Leave a comment down below telling me what you've taken from this video and my system. Are you going to completely overhaul your current system with my system, or are you going to just take 1 or 2 things away? Let me know down below. This system has been refined from a few different sources, most notably David Allen's Getting Things Done, Cal Newport's How to Be a Straight A Student and Deep Work, Daniel Pink's When, and James Clear's Atomic Habits. Those are all great books that I highly recommend reading. That just about wraps up this video. If you found it useful, leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more productivity, being a DIY and DJ mix videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!